welcome back, or welcome first time. I don't know. I don't know if anybody will ever watch these. But welcome to myself back too, because I feel like I will watch these again and I really want to see the progress I've made, what's changed, especially when I'm sitting here exploring my interests and my values, my goals. So, at bare minimum, this is just needing to be done for me, to get unstuck. I forgot my scissors. Yeah, I have not cleaned this room. I'm in an interesting in-between living situation for almost a year and a half now, right? It's last October and it's March now. So I guess that is basically a year and a half, because we were selling our old place and then looking for a new one, and it took us about Mother's Day, so like 8 months to find the house, which is a fixer-upper. Originally we wanted to find a house that was turnkey, as most people try to do when they have a 1-year-old at the time, and we were getting into back-to-back cutthroat battles. Every time we found a house that we thought was the one, we just simply didn't have the cash to battle it out with everybody else in the state of Colorado. So we ended up kind of backtracking what we were looking for. And we had like this long list, right, of like needs and wants. And the needs were supposed to be non-negotiable, right? And as we were looking, we still didn't, we started compromising basically what our needs and wants were, because it was feeling really impossible to actually, to find something, right? And every offer we put in, there was a compromise, right? But then we started thinking outside the box when we saw this updated house in a neighborhood that we were like, really liked the neighborhood, really liked how it felt very suburban, very suburban, non-city, right? Like very, lots of open space around it, and that was one of our hopes, was that we were going to be like not backed up on another neighbor and have like a little bit of green area, not just condos everywhere, but houses everywhere. We really wanted somewhere that had some sort of nature, and so we started looking again in that area, because there was no way we were going to be able to afford the, beautifully remodeled home that we had went and seen. And I found this house that had been listed for quite a long time, and nobody was really going to see it, and the pictures were just so junky. Like, they clearly didn't even try to sell this house, right? It was completely unkept, and we went to go see it because we liked the area, and with Alex's knowledge and capabilities when it comes to building and home, all of it, we were kind of like, well, let's just see what it looks like, right? And we ended up going, and it smelled so bad. They had multiple dogs, and cat, and it didn't seem like they owned a vacuum. It was very uncomfortable, right? But we started just kind of like imagining what it would be like, minus the smell. And it did. It felt like such a risk when we were talking about doing this. I was like, does this really make sense for us? Like, are we... and we're really lucky. We're at the moment we're staying at a family house while they're not here, and it's unfortunate in the way that like we don't feel like we have our own space, and we've never really been able to move in. Most of our stuff is still in boxes, so it feels so messy and chaotic here all the time, and as closer as we get. Anyway, so we bought the house. Goodness, I realized I didn't even like do any sort of intro. Or maybe I will actually use my editing skills to make one at some point. I don't know if I really care that much. Like I said, I'm not trying to be famous. I'm just trying to create, and I'm sure a lot of creators understand, like not content creators, I'm talking like crafters, people who make things with their hands. I'm sure they can relate how tough it feels to be forced to be a content creator, but also, I have the classic story of how when I make something, everyone's like, oh, you should sell this, right? And you get all hyped up and excited that you have the skills to sell something that you made, and then you dive into it and it's a lot harder than people made it sound. And the people who always say those things, I feel like aren't the ones that are buying it. I don't know, not in a mean way. I think people mean well, but they don't understand like how much time actually goes into handmade work, right? And so you're either being paid peanuts for it to have a competitive enough price for manufactured goods, or you price yourself where you deem worth, and it doesn't sell, or you're stuck creating content to make it sell. And so that was like a big thing for me on wanting to start this channel, was that I really wanted to make things for me and not feel like I'm wasting my time. So I really don't feel like art is wasting time. I really want to try to challenge that belief. I don't know exactly where that came from, and I think a lot of people feel that way. A lot of parents felt like it wasn't a lucrative career path, right? Which I don't disagree with that. I think that it requires a certain amount of connection and ability to speak to people to make it happen. But anyway, I digress. So basically, I wanted to start this channel to kind of hold myself accountable for making, but to also have like maybe a venue of, if I'm creating for other people, this is how I want to do it. Like, I want to make things for me and make it fun, but if other people want to see it, want to buy it, like this is how they just get to watch me do it. Maybe they can learn how to do it themselves, right? I don't know. I am so rambling, and I don't even know why I can't like get out of my head right now. I guess I really, again, imagine this channel to be people to just throw it on in the background while they do things. I think that I have been really trying to stay off of social media and off of my phone as much as possible. So I think it's a little funny to start a channel that's like, hey, watch me. Oops. Dang it. Uh-oh. I might have canceled recording. Okay. Now we're back on. Ooh, it's a struggle this morning because I just noticed that the camera was not picking up at all what I was doing again, so I'm trying to be better than the last video. Trying to learn as I go. So yeah, I'm just trying to get people, or I'm not even like trying to change what people do. I don't know what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying that like maybe there's other people like me who are also wanting to do things, wanting the companionship around it. I should not have used this long of thread. My goodness, this whole bird nest situation is going crazy. At the moment I am trying to sew some napkins. I really want to have a brunch party for Equinox for a few friends of mine. So my idea was to kind of get some decor going, and I found some napkins or some really cute cloth at the Craft Box in Wheat Ridge for anybody who's watching this from Colorado. No, I did not go to Joann's to fight off the droves of crafters trying to stock up. I'm really bummed about Joann's closing in a lot of ways, right? But also, like, I remember when I would shop at, what was it called, the Colorado Fabric Store? There was one, I think that was the fabric store down off of Parker Road, but there was also another one that I remember going to, like in the Lakewood area too, but I can't remember what that one was called. It was a lot smaller, and there was one other one that was also in like the Aurora area that I would drive out to see what they had. But yeah, all of those locations shut down, and I'm really sure that Joann's played a huge role in, destroying all local fabric stores because the price was just too good to beat. Nobody could really compete with that. And it's just such a shame that they monopolized and then now are bankrupt and out of there, right? And I'm sure the original founders' families, I don't know if the original founders probably aren't still alive. I looked a little bit into the history the other day when a friend and I were chatting about it, but it's just such a shame that now there's not really places that you can go, but I really like the Craft Box. It's basically like a crafting thrift store, and also another location I really like that I'm sure all y'all crafters, if you're watching this from Colorado, are familiar with, is Recreative. They also have a ton of fabric, so I don't know, I just feel like, yeah, it is probably such a difficult audience to market to crafters, because if you think about who we are as people, we are often DIYers, problem solvers, trying to figure out how to do things on a budget, on a dime, and always looking for the best deal, always opting to make it ourselves rather than purchase it to save a buck, right? So it's that's just my perspective of like when you open anything craft related, it's just gonna be hard, you know. It's like you almost have to like appeal to a different crowd also, rather than the hagglers, the ones that are always scrounging for a deal. I know that's me, and I've always been like that. But yeah, it's not. I think a lot of people turn to DIY and craft because they can't afford the stuff that they love and they admire and they see in other people's homes, or what they're wearing, or you know, that sort of thing. So it's really, I don't know, I'd say it's a really risky business, and that I think all of the craft stores closing over the last 5 years post-pandemic are evidence of that. But even pre-pandemic, I think a lot of those fabric stores closed long before COVID, right? But there's still like so much unused fabric out there, as well as I'm sure a lot of y'all have dabbled into thrifting for fabric. And if it's not something hyper specific that you're looking for, it's like, why not thrift, and why not find something like, let me see if I got the edge on this one. But this fabric is a print from 2004. I was just starting high school in 2004, so it's really funny to me to be so excited about this, like blue and yellow, so springy. I don't know what flower that's supposed to be. I'm not trying to get better with learning flowers, but I'm not trying very hard apparently. So many things I want to learn, right? But at the moment I am just gonna make some napkins, and I don't know if I'm gonna make them prettier than this or embroider them. I love doing hand embroidery, but the funny part about is I do have a sewing machine, and a friend of mine is borrowing at the moment. I can get it back whenever I want, but I had gone out to my aunt's funeral a couple weekends ago, and I had a really beautiful jumpsuit that I had found at the thrift store, and it was like this really nice fabric that laid nicely on me, and it had like the perfect shape of everything except for it was like a solid 6 inches too long, so the feet were dragging on the ground. So on the plane I brought my sewing kit, and I hand sewed the hem, and it just was so much fun. I had missed hand embroidery so much, and I didn't realize it, right? And so when I decided I wanted to get some decorations for like a little brunch party, I decided I was gonna hand sew it and like maybe do like some decorative hemming. So right now I'm doing like I don't know if you can see that. This is like a stem stitch in embroidery. So it looks like a running stitch on the one side, and then it's wrapped around itself on the other. And I had a few other like versions of hemming that I was thinking about doing for these, so I figured like I have enough of this fabric to make 6 napkins, even though I'm pretty sure it's going to be a very small brunch party. Like there's 3 people I think that I'm going to invite, mostly because the house is not going to be ready. I'd love to have that brunch party there, but it's everything's so fluid, and I'm really trying to keep my expectations low. It's a big thing that parenting has taught me, is keeping my expectations really low. So yeah, I did come at this with a plan last night. I was really excited. I was like, oh yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna record. And then I woke up this morning and I just couldn't, I don't know. I just felt jumbled. I was listening to my audiobook, which usually helps me like stop getting in my head. But then I don't know what it is, but I feel like there's still like a lot of insecurity in recording myself talk. I didn't sleep super well last night. I was in quite a bit of pain. I've been dealing with, truly I've had chronic pain my whole life, right? But this last 6 months has really altered my life and my quality of life. And so when I get woken up in the middle of the night, it's really hard for me to go back to sleep, and so that kind of happened last night. But that's okay. I'm sure that has partly to do why I feel so like jumbled, but again, going on the theme of just starting and just doing, I'm just gonna keep on keeping on. I don't like that phrase. But yeah, I didn't really have a topic to talk about today. I said before that, I have a lot of projects lined up, and I have topics affiliated with them that I think would be fun to talk about while doing those projects. And this one was a surprise project. This is why I wanted to keep things so loose, is because that's my lifestyle, is like when something hits that I want to do, like I really want to be able to dive into it versus finishing other works in progress, which is so funny because I'm sure a lot of people see that as a negative quality, but in my current situation of being stay-at-home mom, and like that's truly my only responsibility at the moment. I'm very, very fortunate and grateful to be able to be at home and fully present with Mars. So when he's awake, it's go time, right? Like if we're gonna go do things today, and it might be a little chilly, but I think I'm still gonna take him to the park today because he just loves being outside so much, and I don't want to smush that love. I'm so aware as to how often I say the word too. But so yeah, back to why I'm making these napkins. So Equinox is coming up on the 20th, and I really wanted to get together, like be around community, enjoy food, things that bring on spring and get us excited for the renewal of spring and the energy, and just plants coming back, preparing my garden. I did a lot of yard work on a few days ago, Sunday, and I know that contributed a lot to my pain, but I do also know that's kind of something that I need to keep. I need to keep being active and doing things so that I can re-strengthen and hopefully get this pain under control. So I didn't push myself too hard, but I did do quite a bit of weeding. And I think it's amaranth, I think I saw, is the weed, or what they consider a weed here. And I know it has like some medicinal uses, but at the moment the amaranth is all like basically dry brush, like completely dead. So I tried to root out as much as I can, which ended up only being about 1/6 of the yard. So I'm gonna get back at it when it's warm again later this week and try to prep the ground. I don't know if I'm gonna actually plant a garden this year. I just want to plan it better. I'd love to do some layered gardening. I think that it's been a goal of mine for quite a long time to be able to be more self-sufficient, and layered gardening and just natural local species would be so awesome to help contribute to this ecosystem here, as well as if it was all plants that could be useful to me. But I don't know if I would go fully indigenous plants. I don't know if certain fruits and vegetables that I want to grow, they're definitely not indigenous to here. But at the end of the day, if my goal is to nourish my family, I really want to look into that. So that's why I'm not really sure I'm going to plant this year, because I really want to be intentional with this new space we're going into. But an herb garden, on the other hand, is something that might make sense, especially it's going to end up being like a container garden, right? What kinds of herbs go into it, I haven't decided either. There's a lot of herbs that I enjoy using and cooking, but I don't know a whole lot about herbalism. I'm learning, but I don't know what's most useful, and that might just be just start and go as you go, decide which ones you want to keep putting energy into and which ones you won't be using as often, right? So I don't know. But I don't know if that's going to be like an indoor herb garden or an outdoor herb garden either. It's all over the place. But where we're living, I don't know if I didn't finish telling y'all where it is. It's backed up on an open space belt. So we ended up hitting every single want and need with this house. And even down to the whole south facing driveway, right? So we're not having to shovel our big driveways without the help of the sun. So there's this big front yard or area. I mean, I think it's big. I don't know if it's considered big in the world, but we always make plans that it would one day be a skate park. And then the backyard would be reserved for more like the garden. But I think that both front and backyard is gonna be a garden. Alex just doesn't know that yet. We're also gonna have a skate park. That would be cool. I don't know for sure if we're gonna do it, if we're ever gonna be able to afford it. But we are talking about doing have a ledge and 2 quarter pipes down like a long alley basically on the side of our house. So I just heard my baby wake up, so this might have to end right now, and this is not a very proper episode, so sorry about that, but hopefully you got some stuff done too. Yeah, this was just meant to be background shit anyway, so yeah, got some done. It's been 30 minutes.